So welcome back to another SUP board review, and this week it's the turn of the Sharksup inflatable all-round surf SUP. The Sharksup brand started back in 2014 and now they have quite a wide range of paddleboards in their range. This is their 9.2 version, which is 30 wide, 4 inches thick. It's 173 litres in volume and it weighs just under 8 kilograms, and it retails at $699 or 630 euros. It comes in a 2+1 fin setup and it has a crocodile EVA deck pad. All of the 2017 boards are finished off in their fusion technology, which leaves the board with 2 outer layers on the top and bottom of PVC and 3 outer layers on the rail. And Sharksup recommend this board as an all-round lightweight paddler's board or somebody wanting to get into surf. So moving on to the SUP board impressions. Now SUPs are everywhere at the moment. There's so many brands out there, there's so many boards to choose from. So for you guys out there, it really is hard to know where to start, but there is actually a board virtually at every single price point for every single rider out there. It's just finding that board for you. So when we take a new SUP, we do look at it in every aspect, from price point to build quality to what's in the bag. And definitely when we pulled this Sharksup out of the bag, to be honest, we were pretty impressed. We did think it might be just another generic cheap SUP that's on the market hitting that price point. But it hits that cheap price point, but it actually does give a bit more back to the paddler in feedback and performance. So the overall shape of the board, it has a nice overall shape, 9.2, not super long, a slightly pulled in tail, a nice amount of rocker on the nose, which a lot of boards are missing. We reviewed JP Surf Air last week, that had a good amount of nose rocker too. So these two boards, very good amounts of nose rocker, which really help with surfing, but we'll talk about those in a minute. The EVA deck pad in a crocodile style, really nice, looks good. Definitely the Sharksups of this year's compared to the ones we were looking at on the internet of last year's, they look a lot better this year, and the colorways and the graphics are definitely looking better, we think anyway. It's got all your standard SUP stuff that you'd expect, your tie down points, your carry handles, pretty comfy carry handle as well actually, nicely padded neoprene. We like the way that the deck pad goes back around the valve at the back there, just something a little bit different, makes the boards look different from other ones. When we actually put some air into the 9.2 and pumped it up, this board actually does have a very solid feel, which is a little bit unusual when you talk about cheaper SUPs in general. So this is actually a board that actually has a cheaper price point but has a more of a solid feel to it. This board has a recommended pressure of 18 and a maximum PSI pressure of 25, so the same as other very top end good brands on the market. So when we put this board through the deflection test at 18 PSI, remember a deflection test is where we put a board on a gap of 1.5 meters apart, and then we put a weight in the center of 75 kilograms. This board dropped 22 millimeters, which if you look back on SUPboarder, you'll see that it's exactly a good performance drop compared to PSI and thickness of the board as other top end boards in the market. So it's very respectable and it sits in exactly at the right PSI in relation to thickness of board. But check out SUPboarder Mag for more info on that. So this board at a price of $699 or 630 euros does come as a package with a paddle and a leash. So starting off looking at the leash, it comes with a nice coiled leash, which is nice and comfortable and gives you enough length when it's coiled to stand up around the normal paddling position. Remember, a lot of you would have heard me say it before, but obviously if you are surfing lots with your board, you basically want to make sure you have a straight leash on there and sort of get rid of the coiled leash. The coiled leash would otherwise end up getting stretched and end up losing its coiledness, and also it can become a little bit dangerous because it can have a bit of a whip on the pullback. So when it's a full coil, full not coiled, as it pulls back towards you, it can have a bit more of a spring to it. So generally get yourself a more of a straight leash if you're going to be surfing all the time. But this leash does the job and it's absolutely fine for the all-round paddler, lightweight paddler, somebody who wants to do a bit of surfing. So the paddle, generally paddles you come with packages are pretty nasty. This paddle itself has a few good things going for it though. One, it's actually very stiff. It's a 3-piece aluminium paddle, not the lightest of paddles, but definitely nothing that's sort of unpaddleable with, but it's pretty stiff. It fits together well, doesn't have any play in the pin movement at all, and has a adjustable slide unit that you can slide up and down, similar to other sort of paddles in the market, and a lock system that you can tighten up with some Phillips screws there as well. So the top section is pretty stiff, it doesn't really twist that much. We're not talking about performance here, this is just general paddling, getting into paddling sort of style paddle this is aimed at. The paddle blade itself, there's not much shape to it. It's very basic. It has a nice amount of cup, but we're not going to be doing any races with this style paddle. It can definitely take some knocks and bash around the beach with the kids. It's just a plastic blade, nothing special, but to be honest, the paddle itself, for the price and compared to other paddles you get with other boards, it actually stands up pretty well. So looking at the bag and pump, now you probably see that most pumps you see across all these SUPs have all got similar components, or they are the same pump but branded up differently. So a lot of them will do the same thing and they are physically the same sort of size, but how they feel and move is slightly different, and definitely differs between pump manufacturers. This again is a two-way pump, pumps the board absolutely fine, does the job, hasn't got to get a massive amount of air in it. It's only 173 litres, so it does pump up in about, I think, 2.5 minutes we did it. Two-way pump, so you can pump it on the way upstroke and on the way downstroke, and you can turn it over to pump just on the way on the downstroke when it starts to get heavy. My only gripe with this style of pump, which comes with lots of other board brands as well, is when you have it on the single setting which pumps one way, as you're pulling the pump up there is a small amount of resistance there which does sort of fatigue you over time. The pump though, at the price point with the board, is absolutely fine and it's really sturdy, comes with a built-in pressure gauge and it will do the job. So moving on to the bag, it comes with a big sort of stuff stack style bag with a big opening at the top. Roll your board up, stuff it in, pull the bungee strap down, lock it off, and you can clip it back, so no zips or anything to break or go wrong. It's quite a lightweight bag. It probably is one of the lightest weight bags, physical weight, out there on the market, but then as you've heard in lots of other videos, we think that's quite a good thing, especially if you are walking with your SUP and carrying it some distance. The bag does take a bit of weight on your back. Pretty simple backpack, does the job. No padding around the back as you would see on other sort of bags on the market, but it fits the board well and it does tick the box at the price point with the board it comes with. So moving on to the performance on the flat and in the waves. Now the first thing we've noticed, as we said with our deflection test, the board actually feels really stiff. And generally, we'll say it again, with the cheaper sort of SUPs on the market, they do have a bit of a bend sort of feel to them. This one does not, has a very solid feel in the foot, so it gets a really good tick from that straight away. Paddling on the flat, it's pretty easy to paddle, being 30 wide offers you a nice amount of stability, not super wide, but a nice amount of stability for that sort of lighter weight rider. Being it's 9.2 long, it doesn't track super well in a straight line, but it has got a relatively deep fin, which does help that tracking. So flat water, it's going to be absolutely fine for a lighter rider who just wants to poodle and have a cruise around the river. And then if you wanted to take it surfing, it has got quite a nice side to it too that does lend itself to that beginner SUP surfer. As we've said in some other reviews, you know what we're going to say about rocker line and that sort of stuff. This has a very nice nose rocker profile to it. So the actual shape of the nose of the board is really well pronounced, and it has a large amount of nose rocker for its length that just really gets you out of any troubled situations of any bumpy waves, or if you're dropping down the wave and the wave's a bit steep, you will get away with a lot more on a board like this with a larger amount of rocker than you would a flatter rocker nose board. As far as glide and catching waves, it paddles into the waves really easily, not as easy as the slightly longer sort of 10-foot sort of surf SUPs, but way faster than the stubbier nosed SUPs that are on the market. So turning this board over and looking at the bottom shape, and also talking about the fin setup this board comes with. So as you can see from the rocker line there on the nose, you can really see how the rocker sort of kicks in right the way back to sort of 3 feet back. Nice and flat to the tail, which is going to keep your speed and glide up when you're flat water paddling and catching your waves. Moving on to the fins, it has a very basic sort of 2+1 setup, sort of two sort of solid PVC side fins, which are the indestructible types you can drive over, and with one central fin, which is the clip sort of system like this, where you push the clip in, slide it out, slide the fin forward, and the clip comes out with the fin. Some other much more expensive brands in the market have the same fin system as this, so it's a very easy fin to use. It just slides back in the fin box, clips all the way back. Take your clip slider either side, doesn't matter which way it is, and it slides in the back and that locks your fin in. Staying on the fins, this is actually going to be the negative side of this board for us. Personally, because the board is actually quite a nice shape and it's pretty stiff and it paddles well, has a large amount of rocker that suits the sort of beginner SUP surfing boards, it would be nice to see this board with a better quality fin. Maybe a US box that you could replace the fin with, change around with fins, because it would make the board ride a little bit better. So that's our negative for this board. Because the board's quite a nice shape and quite a good shape for the price point, definitely it'd be nice to have it with a better fin. Well, value for money, well, you guys don't need me to tell you what you think is value for money or not. $699 or 630 euros in a package. Pretty good value, to be honest. There is some slightly cheaper boards out there and there's a lot more expensive boards out there. So definitely it sits, personally from our point of view, we think it's good value at that price point. So the overall SUP boarder verdict of the Sharksup 9.2, it is a very good quality iSUP package that's going to get you into SUP surfing for a very good price. Just over 600 euros for a complete package. The boards these days are getting cheaper and the quality is going up. If you're weighing definitely from 50 to 75 kilograms, you're going to be really happy paddling flat water and getting into some waves. If you're weighing a bit more, you'll probably want a slightly better fin. If it had a better fin, it would be a higher rating, but a solid, respectable 4 stars for the 9.2 all-round surf from Sharksup. So there you go, guys. I hope you found that interesting and informative. Remember, if you want to find out more about this board and how we compare it to with other boards, check out SUPboarder Pro. Otherwise, stay clicked on SUPboarder Mag for more great technique, news and videos. And remember to subscribe to YouTube, and we'll see you next week.